Well, thank you for staying with us. Good morning. Welcome to the nation's capital, Abuja. Good morning, Jeffrey. Yes, you're not doing this alone. I'll never leave you. Well, we're switching gears now and taking a look at how the front pages are reporting the big stories. And we have joining us from our Abuja studio, Mr. Ayo Akeria, who's a member in Nigeria Guild of Editors. Mr. Akeria, good morning.
Always a pleasure. Good morning.
Good to see you.
Great, yeah, sure.
So we're going to begin with the Guardian newspaper, naturally. And the Guardian leads with that meeting, that very important meeting, which the president had with the CPC group. And you see how the Guardian captions it: battle for Buhari's 12.7 million ballots. Tinubu parleys CPC group, says revenue target met amid data gaps. And you see the picture of the president and other leaders, FIRS, I could see his ministers and even the Speaker of the House of Representatives. But back to that meeting, Mr. Akeria, how important was that meeting to President Tinubu? A lot of people have been saying different things about whether or not he gets support from the North, what will become of those votes. So do you think this is enough to at least corner some of those votes for President Tinubu come 2027?
Well, it's a strategic step or move by the president. For some time now, you will notice that the CPC bloc has been complaining. There are two complaints coming from the North, really. The entire northern region is complaining that they are not getting so much from President Tinubu. And then within the North, you have the CPC group. Recall that there were also a major group that formed the APC, or Progressive Congress, led by the late former President Muhammadu Buhari. So they are complaining and they are becoming quite vociferous, and I think that has got into the ears of the president, and the president has called them to me. He's a politician, he needs to carry everyone along, but whether he succeeded in the meeting he had with the CPC bloc is a different thing. But it's a good step he has taken. I'm sure that during that meeting he was able to explain some of the issues that has led to their grievances. Part of the complaints of the North is that they have been marginalized over time, and that the 12.5 million votes that they are talking about, it was given to former President Buhari. Buhari is no more now. If he's late, with due respect to him. So Buhari is no longer going to be there to campaign during the 2027 elections. If he were going to be alive, or if he were alive, for example, and he still supports the president, he will hit the campaign trail, and perhaps those who even voted for Buhari, the 12.5 million votes they are talking about, Buhari is no longer on the ballot. So that vote itself has even shrunk. It has shrunk significantly. If Buhari say, "Oh, I'm not on the ballot, but vote for this person," the voters are also going to analyze that individual, whether he deserves their support or not. So fundamentally, it's a good meeting. He has been able to perhaps explain some of the grievances. But the North should also understand that if not for even President Tinubu itself, Buhari wouldn't be president, because he had made 3 attempts previously to be president and he failed until he scurried back to Tinubu, and Tinubu said he assured him of the support of the Southwest Bloc. And don't forget, Tinubu is also a bridge builder. He was able to build bridges across the North, even to some areas in the South, South, and Southeast. So he brought all of that to the table, and that ensured Buhari's victory. So this area of trying to make it look like without the North, Tinubu would not have been president. The North those saying that the North should also forget that Tinubu also played his part by ensuring that Buhari was president. So it's a case of rub my back, I rub your back.
This debate around 12.7 million votes, who made who helped who, is a big one. And I don't even want to get into it because we can spend 2 hours debating the numbers. But, the B part of this story is, where the president was talking about revenue targets, and we don't need to borrow domestically. And it was almost like beating his chest, and I've done some great work. But the Guardian notes that there are data gaps. Budget implementation report, for example, which is meant to be a quarterly, publication. Last time we got it was last year, third quarter. So there have been gaps. So what we get is just snippets here and there from people in government. And people are saying, okay, fine, let us see the data.
Well, the data is very important, but we should not also forget that Yeah, whilst the data is important, we should also be looking at what international institutions are saying. For example, don't forget, Tukunje Wela was here 2 weeks ago, and her comments as a global figure, the head of the World Trade Organization, saying that yes, the Tinubu's policies are on track, but that he needs to drive focus towards towards pro-people policies. That the social gap between the rich and the poor, is quite wide, and that the president needs to focus on that. You also saw officials of the government, they rev up the WTO, yeah, they revved it up significantly. But the data really is very important. If you look at the 8-year period of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, even that of Jonathan, you saw almost weekly publication, weekly data being pushed out in the media, whether on TV, radio, and the newspapers, the public data, whether allocation to the states, revenue accruing to the federal government, expenditure pattern, oil derivation, oil output, oil that was sold, and all of that, how the money came in, even internally generated revenue by the federal government, how it was shared among the 36 states and the FCT. We saw all that coming up, but I think that is what people are complaining about now. The government needs to open up a bit, and then this opaqueness needs to be reduced significantly.
Jeffrey.
Yes, I was trying to look at some of the highlights of the numbers with our guests. So I know that it's important so that we have this data as well. I totally agree with both of you so that we can speak to it on good authority. I think I remember when it was reviewed, we now did about 54 trillion, just almost 55 trillion. So if you look at the deficits, and then you can tell how much revenue target we're expecting. I know that we're expecting to rake in about 36 trillion, then 13 trillion naira in deficit. So is the president saying by August we have done 36.35 or so trillion naira in revenue? As I said, if that has been met, let's see the numbers, let's see the data to support all of this, because there's a lot of throwing up of numbers, and one of the things I like about economics is not about emotions. Numbers will speak for itself so that we can interrogate, and then we'll get to the next layer of impact of spending, which is where there's always the missing line, the impact of spending itself. Let me come back to you, sir. Let's go to a leadership newspaper. Leadership newspaper is leading with, of course, this politics in the PDP that never ends. Wike camp, PDP governors on collision course over convention. Wike camp, PDP governors on collision course over convention. So there's been this, on one hand, it was national secretary position, the other hand, zoning to the south. Now they are saying don't micro-zone it. What do you make of this back and forth? It looks like for every hurdle cross, another set of obstacle is being created within the party.
Well, it's unfortunate, and it's becoming clearer to most Nigerians that the PDP does not have external problems. That the problem the PDP has is basically internal. And the minister of the FCT, Wike, is a man I've come to respect, because I live in the FCT and I can see the work that he does here. A lot of work, a lot of construction is going on. He has sought to to rewrite the underdevelopment history of the FCT, and to that extent, most residents of the nation's capital indeed applaud Wike. But his politics is thinking to high heavens. I do not subscribe to the Wike brand of politics. Nigerians suffered so much, to best the current democracy that we're having. Any attempt to destroy multi-party democracy and democratic pluralism, it is not going to be accepted by Nigerians. We need the PDP to be strong. We need other political parties to be strong to provide, alternative platform to voters in 2027. Now, the PDP has managed to settle its, national organic squabble. They had a lot of squabble at the national level, national leadership of the party. Somehow, when the party was written off, by people, who felt that the PDP was dead, the PDP was managed to reinvent itself. and then the leadership issue has been settled. Now, last night I watched Wike host his former allies, Governor Otom former Governor Otom of Benue State, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi of Enugu State. We also saw Ayo Fayose, former governor of Ekiti State, and a couple of them in his private residence in Abuja, where they took that decision to outline fresh requests that once those requests are not met, then the convention, the November convention taking place in Ibadan, if it holds, that it will be it will not be a fait accompli, that the courts will nullify it. It means that they are presenting fresh challenges, fresh hurdles before the PDP, and you could see what the response is coming from the leadership of the PDP. The national chairman of the PDP, Umar Damagu, is talking tough for the very first time. I used to think that he's a very weak leader, but from what he's saying, he's talking tough. Amadou Fintiri, who is the chairman of the convention planning committee, the governor of Adamawa State, is also talking tough. He represented the chairman of the board of trustees of the PDP, Wabara, and they are saying that now it is time for a pushback and actually to discipline every members of the party who will not fall in line. So these new conditions that is being said by Wike and his allies, I think most Nigerians are going to be disgusted with it. It is no longer acceptable. We should encourage other parties to grow so that we could have alternative. We can't have alternative in 2027. That is the way to go. Nigeria is the biggest black nation on earth, and our democracy is thriving. People putting spanners in the work, I think that is not encouraging. That is not the way to go. They should be discouraged and they should be called out. Wike and his allies, for me this morning, I think enough indeed is enough.
But whether the PDP agrees with that,
okay.
We'll see. The actions that are taken. I mean, we could switch over to another paper quickly, but I should just say that some also see this as just optics. They see it as theatrics. They're like, we know you are probably the same at the end of the day. You just want us to think that there's some battle, so you keep the stakes up. But that's another theory.
No, I don't think so. It is indeed a battle.
Well, that's a theory that a lot of people have as well, because they see politicians as one and the same, whether you're PDP or APC. But let's go over to the Vanguard newspaper. I mean, people find what's convenient for them. Absolutely. It makes them sleep at night.
Absolutely.
The Vanguard newspaper, of course, leads with the PDP's national convention, saying the PDP draws battle line with Wike's camp. But the story I'd like you to speak to is what is under the big picture on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. The states have no excuse not to pay beyond 70,000 naira minimum wage. We had NECA on our program yesterday, and this was what was said, and it's been carried all over. So sort of a follow-up to it. Is that something for you as well? Because we've seen Imo saying we want to pay 104,000. We've seen Ebonyi say we want to do 90,000. I think Lagos is paying 85,000 naira. But there are 34 other states aside Imo and Ebonyi, which has increased, that have not said anything about increasing.
Even for 104,000. Given deflation, we are doing inflation is about 32%.
So you don't think it's even enough?
It's not enough. I mean, yes, I commend Governor Uzodinma of Imo State for leading the way. He recognizes the fact that even the 70,000, how many states are paying it? Some states claims that they are struggling to pay. Most of the oil-producing states, the oil-bearing states in the South-South, I expect them to lead the way. No state in the South-South should pay less than a 200,000 minimum wage. That is the truth. Because the gap between the poor and the rich is so wide, and I will go to the same market. So the political elites must be very careful. They must also be very sensitive, to the existential realities confronting the average Nigerian. The average Nigerian can't feed. In fact, what is the food? What is the food that the average Nigerian eats? We eat gari, semo, amala, rice, beans. We just repeat it. But this is clearly above the reach of the average Nigerian. You want to buy meat, fish is even a no-go area. Eggs are no-go area. You see children becoming stunted, and these are the future leaders of Nigeria. So the point to be made is that the ruling elite should be they should not think that they own Nigeria, that the country belongs to them alone. They pay to themselves humongous allowances. Their salaries are huge. When the governor leaves office, he's entitled to houses and cars and emoluments almost forever, and his wives and children. I mean, the disparity is disgusting. It is becoming troublesome, and this is even at the root of most national revolutions. Because the fact that Nigerians are quiet, they are they are tolerant does not mean that they have to be pushed and continuously pushed. There is this talk that Nigerians are like the proverbial goat. You push them to the wall, they try to break it and look for ways of survival. But look, this is graveyard silence. This is a dangerous signal. The ruling elites must be very careful to recognize that Nigerians also deserve a bite from the national cake. Nigeria is rich in natural resources, the arm from the Niger Delta region. You travel to the entire Niger Delta stretch, you see poverty everywhere in the communities. People can't find drinking waters. Their living condition is very parlous. It's disgusting. It's regret. You see, they don't have access to good health care, no water, no housing, no good schools. This is not the way to go for a country. I was watching some of the optics coming from China as President Xi Jinping was hosting, the Russian president, and then the man, the former President Putin calls President of the U.S. called the little rocket man. That is the president of North Korea. You could see how organized the Chinese environment is. When the China starts, and where is China today? China has become a leading economy in the world. Nigeria can lead Africa out of the doldrums. And I think the conversation around minimum wage has become very, very unpleasant. The minimum benchmark right now as we speak should be about 200,000 naira. Look at our policemen suffer, our security services, whether it's the DSS, the police, the army, it's the same complaint across board. It is time to revisit the question of the national minimum wage and let it reflect the reality of the market economy that we are practicing.
I think that's only fair enough. So big ups to the states that have increased it. But Mr. Carrier says we have to do more. So for the other 34 states that are quiet, what exactly is going on? Mr. Carrier, we have to thank you so much. I think a lot of workers will be happy with you today. For speaking for them.
They should be. So I'm also a victim. How much do I earn? How much are journalists actually paid?
Let's not go there this morning. But we have to thank you so much. I'll be speaking with Mr. Ayo Carrier, a member Nigeria Guild of Editors. Thank you for always bringing to bear all of these issues.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.